Hi everyone, my name is Linda Kovacs, and today our team, formed by Linda, Mariam, Tejas, Anas, and Jan, is thrilled to present our project, the UAlbany Campus Portal. This presentation represents the culmination of our work for CINF 201 as of February 13, 2026. Our project focuses on building a clean and consistent static UI interface for UAlbany campus-wide social platform. What you will see today is a walkthrough of how we approach the build from the ground up, starting with the overall structure, then developing reusable UI components, styling, and finally assembling full pages that represent key user flows like login, profiles, and posts. Our goal with this static UI is to create a solid visual and structural foundation that can later support a fully dynamic interactive application. Throughout this presentation, we will highlight the design principles we followed, the features we implemented, and the roadmap we defined for turning this UI into a robust data-driven platform. Now I will introduce you the purpose of our project and explain why a static UI matters in the larger context of student engagement at UAlbany. As the university continues shifting toward online and hybrid learning, many students, especially remote learners, are experiencing a growing engagement gap. While on campus, students naturally connect through physical spaces and spontaneous interactions, online students often feel isolated from the campus culture. Platforms like Brightspace do a great job supporting academics, but they don't offer an informal, community driven environment where students can discover organizations, join conversations, or form meaningful peer connections. This gap creates a real need for a centralized digital quad, a place where all students can participate in campus life regardless of location. That leads us to our proposed solution. We are building the foundations for the UAlbany student online portal, a secure, accessible, responsive platform that gives students a single hub for campus engagement. Throughout this portal, students will be able to browse and join student organizations, participate in topic-based forums, explore campus events throughout a unified calendar, and even communicate via real-time simulated chat widgets. The static UI we are presenting today represents the first major milestone toward that vision. It layouts the structure, pages, and overall design systems for the portal. This early version is built using a progressive enhancement philosophy, meaning the core content works for every user while enhanced features are available for those with JavaScript enabled. We are essentially framing what we built, a fully structured static UI that sets a stage for a dynamic interactive campus experience. Now I'm going to walk you through how we plan, visualized, and organize the entire project using both design and management tools. To begin, we created Figma wireframe prototypes for both the desktop and the mobile version of the UAlbany campus portal. These prototypes help us map out the layout, structure, and user flows before writing any code. They ensure that our static UI remained visually consistent across different screen sizes and gave us a clear blueprint for every page. Now let's go to see it in action. Users should be directed to the landing page where they can sign up. Then they can register log in into the platform. They are redirected to the dashboard. From there, they can choose to go to see other students' profiles. Uh, re- then we have a back to top tooltip. Um, they can read posts and engage into discussions. Also, we have an AI assistant chat in our website. Let's go now to see the mobile wireframe prototyping. And now let's go to see it in action. From the landing page, the user can sign up, register, log in, redirected to the dashboard. From the dashboard, can see other students' profiles. The menu is a hamburger menu, and see the posts uh, and engage with the respective posts. Uh, Alongside the design work, we use a Trello board to manage the project life cycle. Trello board allowed us to track tasks, organize the backlog, assign responsibilities, and monitor our progress from start to beginning through our different sprints. This helped our team collaborate efficiently and maintain a smooth workflow throughout the development. Overall, this combination of Figma for prototyping and Trello for project management gave us a strong visibility into both the design direction and day-to-day development process, ensuring the project stayed on track and aligned with our goals. Our focus is on our core goal of our project and what we set out to accomplish with this static UI build. Our main objective was to create a clean, consistent user interface that supports a campus-wide social experience for UAlbany students. To do this, we concentrated on designing the essential user flows, authentication, profile creation, and editing, navigating posts, and building a functional dashboard. These flows represent the backbone of any social and community driven platform. A major part of our approach was keeping the UI lightweight and easy to extend. Because this is a static build, we aren't implementing backend logic yet. Instead, we focus on layout, structure, and visual consistency, ensuring that every page aligns with the eventual goal of becoming a fully dynamic application. So, in summary, the goal of this stage was to deliver a strong visual and structural foundation, something stable, scalable, and ready for the next phase, where we will integrate real data, APIs, and interactive features. I'm going now to walk you through the file structure that forms the backbone of our static UI build. We follow the bottom-up approach, starting with the overall project structure before moving into page layouts and components. The goal was to keep the project organized, easy to maintain, and scalable as the platform grows. The The root directory contains the core HTML pages, the main screens that make up the student experience. Next, we created a dedicated modules folder, which stores all our shared UI components. Keeping these modules separate help reduce duplication and ensure visual consistency across the site. As the project evolves, these modules can easily be transformed into reusable components in a front-end framework. We use the style CSS as the single source of truth for all global styling. This builds a unified design system that keeps typography, spacing, layout, helpers, and UI elements consistent from the page to page. Finally, all images and icons live inside the image folder, keeping assets organized and easy to reference. Overall, this structure keeps the project clean, modular, and ready for expansion, wherever that means adding new pages, integrating JavaScript, or converting the entire UI into a dynamic application later on. Now I'm going to walk you through how we build the base HTML structure for each page in the static UI. We started with the clean page skeleton following the standards of HTML5 semantic layout, which helps both accessibility and future scalability. Each page is organized with the same common sections: a header, the main area, and the footer, to keep the structure predictable and user-friendly. This consistency also makes the site much easier to style and maintain across multiple pages. One of the key decisions we made was to use consistent class namings throughout the project. This allows our CSS rules to apply cleanly from a page to page, and it sets the foundation for later converting these sections into reusable components if we move into a framework. In the index HTML, the head includes everything needed to establish our system before any content loads, like railway font from Google Fonts, font awesome for icons, and the global style sheet style CSS, which controls our typography, layout, and spacing and reusable UI elements. This ensures the look and the feel is consistent across the entire site. At the very top of the body, we included a simple top anchor. This allows the back to top button to work without relying on any JavaScript. It's a small but effective example of how we use pure HTML and CSS to create interactions in a fully static environment. Altogether, this base HTML approach gives us strong, flexible foundation for building clean layouts while keeping everything lightweight and easy to enhance in the future. Now I'm going to explain how we handle the shared UI modules and why they are such an important part of our bottom-up approach. We focus on creating reusable components that maintain consistency across the entire site and reduce duplication um, of code. This includes key pieces of the interface like the navigation bar and the chat module, which are included across multiple pages to ensure a unified experience. The navigation bar is built using a standard nav element with our custom classes to establish styling and layout. The logo sits inside of the brand link, and all menu items are simple anchor tags pointing to other static pages. For mobile-friendly behavior, we use a hidden checkbox pattern, nav toggle checkbox paired with a label that acts as a hamburger icon. CSS listens to the checkbox state and to show or hide the menu, which means no JavaScript is required for responsive navigation. And here we can see it into action, our mobile version of our hamburger menu. We use the same CSS only technique for the chat UI module. The chat interface is powered by another hidden checkbox, chat toggle checkbox, that and the floating button labeled chat fob. When the user clicks the button, the checkbox state toggles and CSS reveals the chat panel. The chat itself, it's an aside with a role dialog to support accessibility. Inside it, we structure the header message area and form fields using clean semantic HTML. Even though the form is static for now, it's visually and structurally prepared for future JavaScript integration. They keep the experience consistent, make the layout modular, and sets up perfectly for converting these pieces into true components within the front-end framework later on. Now, I will cover how we build a styling system that drives the visual consistency of the entire UI. We created a single global style sheet that establishes the CSS foundation for the project, ensuring that every page and component follows the same visual rules and design patterns. Inside the CSS file, the system begins with the root variables that define all of our colors, core colors. There we include global resets, base typology rules for the body, and a set of utility classes that handle container spacing and text sizes. This structure keeps our styling style lightweight, predictable, and easy to extend. The navigation bar, one of our shared UI modules, has its own dedicated styling session. The nav bar is fixed, spans the full width of the screen, and uses our gold nav color variable. The nav logo class ensures that the brand image scales consistency across pages and screen sizes. Overall, this styling system gives us a unified, maintainable design approach. It supports clean layouts, consistent UI elements, and a fully reusable component structure that will make the transition to a dynamic application using a front-end framework smooth and efficient. Now I'm going to explain how we assemble the full pages of the static UI and how each one supports a real user flow. We build each page to reflect a complete user journey, even though everything is still static at this stage. The goal was to demonstrate the final layout and interactions as they would appear in the dynamic version of the application. This includes authentication pages like login and registration, profile creation and editing, the posts lists and individual posts views, and the dashboard summary. For the landing page, you use a hero layout that incorporates a dark overlay for contrast. The overlay is positioned absolutely over the background image, while the inner content is centered using the landing inner class. This gives the landing section a modern, high-impact first impression. The call to action buttons on this page are simply links styled with utility classes like button, button primary, and button light. These styles are all defined in the CSS style file, keeping our components visually consistent across the site. We also included a back to top tooltip control build with entirely HTML and CSS. Is just an anchor link pointing to top style as a circular button affixed to the bottom right of the screen. This demonstrates how we use pure HTML and CSS techniques to add interactive features without relying on JavaScript. Overall, this phase of the build was about bringing together the structure components and styling the form complete user-ready pages, an essential milestone before integrating real data and dynamic behavior later on. Now I'm going to delve into the key features that are already working on our static website and why they matter for the user experience. Right now, the static UI supports fully functional multi-page navigation, allowing users to move smoothly between different sections of the site. The pages all share consistent branding, layout, and visual structure, which helps create a cohesive and professional user experience across the entire platform. We also build form layouts and key user interactions such as login, registration, and posting, even though these forms aren't wired to a backend yet. At this stage, the forms are purely visual, but they are structurally ready for future data integration once the backend is implemented. Although we use HTML5 and CSS validation for our forms before we will go to integrate a backend form validation. Also, when a user registers, the data it's stored in the cache for now since we cannot rely on a backend database. Another important feature is our attention to clear content hierarchy. This makes the interface easier to scan and understand, especially for new users. Hmm. The footer is a simple footer with a copyright line that maintains consistent typography with the rest of the site. Additionally, we incorporated accessibility helpers like screen only, which hide the text visually but keeps it available to screen readers. We use these techniques for elements such as the hamburger menu label and the chat button text. Together, these features show how even a static UI can offer a structured, accessible, and user-friendly experience while laying the ground work for full functionality in dynamic version of the platform. Here we are summarizing the key usability strengths of our static UI and why these choices make the site intuitive for students. One of our biggest advantages of our design is that it follows a familiar social platform layout with recognizable patterns like profiles, posts, and a centralized dashboard. This makes the experience easy for users to understand without a learning curve. We also focused on reliable typography and a clear visual hierarchy. This ensures that the content is easy to scan, improving accessibility for all users, especially important since all platform is meant to support both on-campus and remote students. Another major strength is our use of modular sections, which are intentionally designed to be reused and extended later. This keeps the structure clean now, but more importantly, it sets up for a smooth transition when we convert these modules into dynamic components in a front-end framework. Overall, the build is HTML first, supported by CSS utilities and component-like classes. Even the interactive behaviors like the navigation menu and the chat widget are powered entirely by checkbox states and CSS, meaning the entire experience works without any JavaScript. This keeps the UI lightweight while still feeling interactive. Together, these usability choices makes the interface approachable, accessible, and future ready for when we expand into more dynamic environment. Now I'm going to explain how we deployed our project and why our chosen approach is ideal for a static prototype. Right now, the project is deployed using GitHub Pages, which is a fast, simple, and free hosting options specifically designed for static websites. This makes it perfect for our current stage since our UI does not yet rely on a backend or dynamic data. Publishing the code through GitHub ensures that our work is version controlled, easy to follow for the team to collaborate on, and publicly accessible for testing, demonstrations, and iteration. GitHub Pages automatically serves our HTML, CSS, and images without requiring any server configuration. As we move into the next phase, where we will introduce dynamic features, we will eventually need a backend host and a database. But for this milestone, GitHub Pages gave us everything we needed to share and validate this static UI quickly and reliably. Overall, GitHub Pages is an ideal platform at this stage because it keeps deployment simple while allowing us to showcase a fully functional multi-page static prototype. Here we are introducing the major next steps we will take as we begin transforming our static UI into a fully dynamic application. Up to this point, everything we built has been static, focused on structure, layout, and visual consistency. But to turn this into a real functioning platform, we need to introduce dynamic data, persistent storage, and backend logic. The next major milestone is adding a complete backend API, most likely using Node and Express. This will give us the routes and the endpoints needed to support user accounts, forum posts, organization data, and events. Along with the backend API, we will connect the application to a database such as MongoDB. This is essential for storing user profiles, posts, comments, and authentication details. Once our API and database are in place, we can implement application and sessions management, ensuring that users can securely log in, access their data, and interact with the platform in real time. In short, this next phase is all about giving the UI real data and building the foundation for a truly interactive campus platform. The next step focuses on how we will modernize the front end by transitioning our static UI into a fully dynamic component application. Our next major step is moving the project into a modern front end framework, with React being the strongest candidate. By converting our current pages into React components, we can take advantage of reusability, important state management, and a more scalable deployment structure. Using client side routing, we will shift from separate HTML pages to a single page application. This will give students a faster, smoother user experience with seamless navigation between views, no full page reloads. Once connected to our backend API, the front end will be able to fetch real data, including user profile, posts, comments, organization, and events. This is where the platform becomes truly interactive, replacing our current static layout with dynamic data-driven content. One of the biggest advantages here is that our current modular structures maps perfectly to React components. Everything we've built so far, navbars, forms, cards, layouts, can transition cleanly into a modern framework. We will concentrate our attention on the user-facing features we plan to implement once the platform becomes dynamic. In this next phase, we will begin transforming each static page into a fully functional experience backed by real data. One of the first major additions will be real user profiles, allowing students to create accounts, update their information, and personalize their presence on the platform. We will also enable core social features such as post creation, likes, and comments. This turns the static posts layout into a true interactive feed where students can share updates, engage with the discussions, and build community around shared interests. Another key feature is live chat integration. While the current chat widget is static, our goal is to evolve it into a real-time communication tool, allowing students to message peers, collaborate, and interact in a way that mirrors an active campus community. Together, these updates will transform the static layout into a meaningful interactive features that support real student engagement across the platform. Throughout the project, the emphasis will be on the quality, security, and reliability measures we will need to implement as we move toward the production-ready version of the platform. As we transition from static prototype to a dynamic application, one of our biggest priority will be to ensuring that the platform is stable, secure, and accessible. This includes implementing form validation and robust error handling so users receive clear feedback and so the system can safely manage incorrect or incomplete input. We will also need to introduce protected routes, ensuring that only authenticated users can access sensitive pages like profiles, dashboards, and posting features. This step is essential for keeping student data secure and maintaining trust in the platform. Finally, we will conduct testing and accessibility reviews. This includes functional testing, usability checks, and ensuring the UI meets accessibility standards so all students, including those using assistive technologies, can navigate the platform without barriers. Altogether, these quality and security steps are what will elevate our project from a working prototype to a reliable production ready student platform. This slide wraps up our work by sharing all of the key project links that support our design, development, and collaboration process. We included direct links to both our desktop and mobile Figma wireframe prototypes, which show the full layout structure and interaction flow of the static UI. These prototypes were essentials for planning page layouts and ensuring our design remain consistent across screen sizes. Next is our Trello board, which we use to manage tasks, track progress, and coordinate team responsibilities. This helped keep our workflow organized throughout the project. We also linked to our GitHub repository, which holds all of our code and serves as the central point for version control and collaboration. From there, the project is deployed to GitHub pages, giving us a live version of the static site that can be tested, reviewed at any time. Finally, we included a YouTube recording which provides an additional workthrough or demonstration of our work. These links capture the full ecosystem of our project from design to development to deployment and make it easy for everyone to explore our work in detail. This slide highlights each team's member's role and how their contribution supported the quality, delivery, and overall success of the project. Our team worked collaboratively with each person taking ownership of a specific area critical to completing the static UI build. Miriam serves as our project manager. Linda acts as a software developer lead. Anas is our quality assurance lead. Tejas served as accessibility and UI UX designer lead. Yeah, Jan is our security lead. Together, these coordinated roles ensure that our project was well managed, visually cohesive, technically sound, and prepared for future expansion. To close out our presentation, I want to bring everything together and highlight the full journey of our static UI build. We began this project with a bottom-up approach, starting from the overall structure, then building out reusable components, establishing our style system, and finally assembling complete pages that represent real user flows. This allowed us to develop the UI in a logical, scalable way that keeps the entire system clean and consistent. The result is a fully structured, static interface that allows a strong foundation for the next stage of the development. Everything we created, our layouts, components, modules, and styling has been intentionally designed so it can be expanded in a fully dynamic data-driven application. Looking ahead, we now have a clear roadmap for transforming this foundation into a complete platform, integrating a backend, adopting a modern front-end framework, and adding interactive features that support the real student engagement. Overall, this project gives us a solid starting point and a clear path forward as we continue building a dynamic, fully functional campus platform for UAlbany students.